Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman as we are here celebrating Victory Monday after the Vikings beat the Cowboys 34-26 yesterday. But we do have some breaking news that I want to start off with, and it's not good news on the Vikings front. Kevin O'Connell said at his press conference earlier that Vikings edge rusher Jonathan Greenard is going to get his injured shoulder fixed surgically per Kevin O'Connell, and he's tried to push through it but aggravated it last night, and that'll be it for his season. So the breaking news here is that Jonathan Greenard will be out for the remainder of the season. Obviously, bad for 58 considering he absolutely dominated that game yesterday. Had a PFF grade of 90.9. He, in my opinion, was probably the best player on the football field last night. Maybe you could also make an argument for J.J. McCarthy, but Greenard was awesome, and he's been dealing with this injury throughout the entire season. Now, I will say good news off this injury is that just means more reps for Dallas Turner. Now, we have seen when Dallas Turner has to fill in for that Andrew Van Ginkel spot, he's not as productive. But when he filled in for that Jonathan Greenard role, he has been way more productive. So kind of some good and bad news there, but definitely not good that Greenard will be out for the season. As Austin in the building saying, "Yo, what's up, Patrick? What's going on?" Austin saying 9 looked good last night. 9 did look good, and that will take me to this. If you guys could grade J.J. McCarthy's game versus Dallas yesterday. We also got Ryan Manley in the building. What's going on? Lego Fella saying, "Welp, it's a good time for Dallas Turner to show up." Yeah, big end of the year for Dallas Turner. But if I'd give J.J. McCarthy a grade, I don't know if I want to give too much of a Cowboys curve here. I'd probably give him an A minus. Missed a couple of throws. Wasn't a perfect game by any means. I'd probably give him an A minus. Now, Chris Carter. He was on the Kay Adams show talking about J.J. McCarthy, and he says, people are just pretty much fired up about his performance because our expectations were low. If our expectations were high for J.J. McCarthy, that game would have been good yesterday. I don't know what it is. I feel like CC's kind of got something out for J.J. McCarthy. Now, he was fair. He did say, hey, I understand. He looked good, but he's not willing to declare him a franchise quarterback, and I'm not either. We shouldn't be ready to declare J.J. as that no doubt franchise quarterback after playing the Commanders and the Cowboys. But I thought J.J. was fantastic yesterday, so I'd probably give him, an A minus, B plus. Mike Nintendo, what's going on, man? How you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. Costy Duke in the building saying B plus. Forgotten giving me an A minus. Ryan Manley saying we're done for the season. Get healthy, Greenard. Yeah, that's also it. I'm not too upset about the Greenard injury. Now listen, if the Vikings were in playoff contention right now and maybe we're trying to fight to win that NFC North crown, this season or that injury would be devastating for the Vikings' playoff hopes. But it is what it is. As Lego Fellow saying, D1 hater for some reason. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with CC. Chris Carter's just not the biggest fan of J.J. McCarthy. I'm not sure why. He blasted him a couple weeks ago after that Bears game. And yes, J.J. did not play good in that Bears game, but I don't know. It just kind of seems a little weird for a Vikings legend also to not being fully supporting the young quarterback, because I'm not saying JJ's scrolling on Twitter and he's seeing all this stuff and he needs confirmation from Chris Carter and needs that support from Chris Carter. But I don't know, if I was a Vikings legend and I was one of the best receivers of all time and I saw a young quarterback who's 22 years old struggling and going through the growing pains, I would have supported him. But the last 2 weeks for JJ have been absolutely unreal. Here are the NFL QBR leaders for the past 2 weeks, plus their records included. And you see Trevor Lawrence, number 1 on this list. I will say for Trevor Lawrence, I watched that Jets-Jags game yesterday. I think Dylan and I could have had a good passer rating or a good QBR against that Jets defense. But Josh Allen, number 2, 90.7. Brock Purdy, 85.9. Bo Nix has been playing really good football as of late. I actually want to tip my cap to Bo there. And then J.J. McCarthy comes in at 5th. So over the last 2 weeks, J.J.'s been a top 5 quarterback according to QBR. He's 2-0, playing some good football. But a big reason why J.J.'s been playing so good is his connection with Jalen Nailor. Now, I do want to kind of go more in depth on a full video on this, and maybe this is more of an offseason conversation. Should the Vikings pay Jalen Nailor? Now, he is an unrestricted free agent. I think Nailor is probably going to sign that Darius Slayton-esque contract where it's 3 years, $36 million. So we'll use that as an example. Should the Vikings pay Jalen Nailor? 3 years, $36 million. You guys, let me know your thoughts. Why for yes and for no. I think it's a tricky conversation because you also got the Addison contract extension. Now, I will say, the Vikings, I don't think they're going to do anything with Addison this offseason. I don't think they're going to pay him. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think with his cap hit only being $4.3 million next season, they're probably just going to ride it out with Addison. Now, the question becomes, do you want to go pay Jalen Nailor $12 million per year? You can backload that contract, make his cap hit low, but it's an interesting conversation because also I truly believe, and maybe I'm in camp alone here, I think Nailor can be a wide receiver too. Nailor's like that catch he had from JJ's first touchdown throw. One, it was an unreal throw by JJ, but also that's a hell of a catch by Nailor. He creates a lot of separation. He's super, super fast. He's a great slot wide receiver. And also this year, one change the Vikings have had with Nailor, Jefferson, and Addison, Nailor's been primarily the slot. Now, yes, they'll still put Jefferson in there. They'll still put Addison in there every once in a while. But I don't know. Tricky conversation if the Vikings should pay Nailor. I'll give you guys my full thoughts here on the first segment of today's show. But we do have our first super chat rolling in from my guy, Blinky. We appreciate you, man, sending a $5 super chat. Shout out to you. But if you guys are just tuning in now, the breaking news on today's show is that Jonathan Greenard will be out for the remainder of the season. So the last 3 games against the Giants, Lions, and Packers, they will be without number 58 in the lineup. So that's a breaking news there. So unfortunate for Jonathan Greenard. Also, I think he played one of his better games as a Minnesota Viking last night. He was just generating pressures, pushing Dak either up in the pocket or forcing him outside the pocket. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. So that's a breaking news there. But Blinky coming in. Appreciate you, man, saying, hope McCarthy plays harder for his friend Greenard. Everything I've heard, Greenard is his biggest supporter on the defense. Been in his corner since day one. Blinky, that's actually a fucking fantastic point. Yeah, Greenard, like, any podcast you go on, even, like, when Greenard was on, like, a Twitch stream this offseason, he was like, JJ's my guy. Like, he's awesome. Like, you should see the zip he throws on the football. Like, he has been very, very supportive of JJ, so I kind of like that angle right there. Blinky, this is why I love having you guys get your thoughts on the stream, because now, Blinky, I get to take that take that you just had. So I appreciate you, as always, for tuning in. But I do like that angle. I mean, JJ's going to go out there and play hard every single week, but maybe he's got a little extra, chip on his shoulder to, play for his guy, Jonathan Greenard. But everybody show Blinky some love. Great super chat here. Everybody give me a skull Blinky or a W Blinky down below, as my guy Vikings fan is in the comments section. All right, so coming up on today's show, I do want to go more in depth on the Vikings-Dallas Cowboys game. 5 takeaways that aren't fully around J.J. McCarthy. The video earlier this morning was just on J.J., so I do want to give some more thoughts on this game here coming up. Then we will be diving into a mailbag. So if you guys have a question for me around the Minnesota Vikings, whatever it may be, just use hashtag Vikings or super chat to get up on today's show. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And if you guys are ready to rock and roll here, hit that thumbs up icon, see if we can get to 25 likes, and we will start this show. But Vikings follower coming in saying, I might sound dumb. Don't worry, I've sounded dumb a whole lot this season, this offseason. Saying, I know Burrow is elite, but if McCarthy keeps this up for the remainder of the season, I'd want to rock with JJ just because he was younger. That's going to be a tricky conversation. Like, what if JJ goes out there and Vikings win out? And that means you have 2 really good wins against the Packers and the Lions. And JJ plays like he did against the Dallas Cowboys in both those games and the Giants game. Like, what are we saying then this offseason? Like, are you just going to move off him? Are you just going to go get Joe Burrow? Where Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback, top 5 in the league. We'll see. And Legofo, another good point, is like, McCarthy isn't healthier than Burrow. Like, everybody was like, oh, Joe Burrow, like, he's got this lengthy injury history. I hear you. But, like, our own quarterback, that's the biggest concern about JJ. Like, screw all the on-the-field stuff. I'm more talking off the field, him staying healthy. That is his number one kind of red flag in his game right now. But I will say it was a pretty cool moment last night. Just watching J.J. McCarthy play some really good football. I really felt happy for him. Even him with all the first responders before the game entering AT&T Stadium, he's out there. He's dapping all of them up. He's just a really good dude. And we'll fully support this kid. And I can't wait to see what he's going to develop into. But we do appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Ryan Manley saying that's what we did to Sam Darnold. Skull Vikings saying Joe Burrow staying with the Bengals. I would assume he's staying with the Bengals. I think Burrow's got some stuff going on off the field instead of, on the field issues that he has with Cincinnati. At least just this. It's kind of how I'm reading it right now. But, hey, we're going to dive into this first segment here. If you guys could, hit that thumbs up icon. I want to get you guys more takeaways from the Vikings-Dallas game. And if you guys are ready to rock and roll with me, hit me with those skulls down below in the comments section. Victory Monday. Vikings are 6-8. Obviously, the season still as a whole was a big-time disappointment, but there are a lot of positives that I want to talk about here. So if you guys could, hit that thumbs up icon, spam those skulls down below, and let's dive into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I want to get you guys more takeaways from the Vikings beatdown of the Cowboys last night on Sunday Night Football. We caught a big-time victory, 34-26. And I think one of the biggest takeaways, we're going to start off here, Jalen Nailor, speedy. He looked absolutely unbelievable, and specifically the connection he has with J.J. McCarthy. I mean, we were all hoping J.J. would have this connection with the other J.J., Justin Jefferson, but he's got that connection with Jalen Nailor. Now, I thought that throw McCarthy had on his first touchdown, rolling out of the pocket, flipped his hips, delivered a frozen rope 40 yards down the field. I thought that was an awesome throw, but also that was a badass catch by Jalen Nailor, and he's been cooking with J.J. McCarthy as the quarterback. These are his stats with J.J. McCarthy starting this year as a wide receiver 3. These are fantastic numbers. He's got 17 catches for just under 300 yards, 17.2 yards per catch, so we know speedy. Big play player. He's got that speed to take the top off the defense. He's also found the end zone 3 times. So clearly those two have a very, very strong connection. Now I want to shift to the offseason here. The Vikings got a tough decision to make. And I'm not saying you for sure have to make a decision on either keeping Jordan Addison or keeping Jalen Nailor. But I do think more likely than not, you will have to pick between those two. Now, however, you can't keep both of them. Because Jordan Addison, his cap hit is $4.3 million. So you could just not do anything with Addison, which is what I would do. Because, listen, Addison's heading into his 4th year. You can pick up his 5th-year option. You don't need to extend him. You don't need to trade him. And you can get him still on the books for his rookie scale deal for the next 2 seasons. So I would have the Vikings head that route. But also, what if you just extend Jalen Nailor? And then you just backload his contract. Like, there is a world where even if you give Jalen Nailor, like my contract projection for him, 3 years, $36 million, $12 million a year. You could just backload that deal and have him on the books for maybe $5-6 million next year because Jefferson, he's got a big-time cap hit coming down the road. But then if you just take, Addison at 4.3, maybe you got Jalen Nailor on, call it 5.7, and then you got those two eating up $10 million, then Jefferson getting that $35 million. That's not like a huge chunk of your cap space going towards the wide receiver position. And plus, he's got a great connection with that young quarterback. So if you are going to keep J.J. McCarthy, I would probably do what you can to keep Jalen Nailor. This guy's awesome. The thing about Nailor I love so much is, 1, he's had a lot of clutch plays as a Minnesota Viking. And 2, he has gotten better every single year. This isn't a guy where we saw him coming out of Michigan State. I mean, he was a 6th-round pick where, like, the first 2 years, he was an okay wide receiver 3. Tried to get on the field here and there. But then the last 2 years, 7 touchdowns last year, 3 touchdowns this year. He's been absolutely awesome. So I would do what I can to pay Jalen Nailor. Again, it's a tricky conversation because the Vikings are just strapped for cash right now. That's the reality of the situation. Like, Kwesi completely blew this offseason. I mean, the Jonathan Allen deal, like, I would fully expect him to probably be cut or restructured this offseason, but it's tricky. So you guys let me know your thoughts. Should the Vikings pay Jalen Nailor? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. Takeaway number 2, and I'm fired the hell up to talk about this. Brian Flores, man. I absolutely love this dude. I love his defensive scheme. He is one of my favorite coordinators I think I've ever got to watch in the NFL. Like, his defense is just entertaining. It's productive, yes, 100%. You got one of the better defenses in the league, but the style of defense is just so entertaining for a fan. And the Vikings were getting home to Dak yesterday. They pressured Dak Prescott on 48% of his dropbacks. That was the highest of his career. Now, yes, this man right here gets a lot of credit for it, Jonathan Greenard, but also your defensive coordinator does as well. And I'm at the point right now, do whatever it takes to keep Flores. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news here, but I'm starting to get to the point where I would be shocked if he's back as the defensive coordinator next season, just because teams are looking at the Vikings, they're looking at what they're doing defensively, and they're seeing how hard they play every single week, and whether Greenard's out of lineup, whether Van Ginkel's out of lineup. Like, this defense shows up over and over again. And I thought what was so interesting, and don't mean to give a dig here at Harrison Smith, but Harrison Smith's a one-trick pony at this point. You're going to line him up around the ball. He's just going to be elite in disguise. He's going to be elite at kind of throwing the quarterback off what he's trying to do. But the whole game yesterday, it's just Harrison Smith lined up on the line of scrimmage, him ready to go make a play at the quarterback. And I think Flores is understanding, like, hey, Harry is not the same guy he used to be, so let me still use him in an effective way. Like, that's coaching. And it's not like the Vikings also, I think they got, like, at this point in the season, B-minus talent on their defense, personnel-wise. Like, yeah, Greenard's a great player. Van Ginkel's a great player. But besides that, you don't really have too many blue chippers on that side of the football. And Flores is just doing a fantastic job. So do whatever it takes to keep Flores. Give him an extension. Pay him more money. I'm just a little concerned that he might get a head coaching job. And that would really hurt because I love this dude. I love the way he plays, or I love the way he coaches that side of the field. So if you guys want the Vikes to keep Flores as the DC, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon for us, and we'll dive into more takeaways here in a second. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Factor Meals. And eat smart at factormeals.com/VikingChef50off, and use promo code VikingChef50off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Now, there's no doubt that eating well during the holidays can feel impossible. That's why I use Factor's chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals to help me stay balanced and energized through the most indulgent time of the year. And Factor, unlike meal kits, they require prep and cooking. Factor delivers fully prepared, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. And I also love Factor. They got a ton more variety, a ton of more meals where you guys can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp, and no extra cost. I use Factor pretty much every single day. You know, living a busy lifestyle here, covering the Minnesota Vikings, and always feel like making a home-cooked meal when I get off of work. That's where Factors came in and completely changed my life. So eat smart at factormeals.com/VikingChef50off and use code VikingChef50off to get 50% off your first box and plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code VikingChef50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. This exclusive holiday offer won't last. Lock in your savings before the New Year rush. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Can't believe we're doing it, but we're doing it. 87, TJ Hockenson. He showed the hell up last night. Hock was absolutely fantastic. And, you know, he has not been the most consistent tight end for the Vikings. He has kind of been a little bit of a shell of himself, but he was great last night. 4 catches, 66 yards. I thought he was amazing. He was bouncing off defenders. He was breaking tackles, and he looked good last night. And I will give credit to TJ Hockenson. Like, we have been very, very critical of him throughout this entire season, for right reason. Like, he's looked like a shell of himself, but he played his best game of the season versus the Cowboys. That one catch he had from J.J. McCarthy was over his shoulder, tracking the football at a high level, and it just fell right into his lap. It was an unbelievable throw by McCarthy, but also unbelievable concentration from T.J. Hockenson. And I'm happy to finally see that connection build because we saw J.J. have such a great connection with a guy like Colston Loveland back at Michigan, and now he's starting to build that connection with even more guys like Josh Oliver, T.J. Hockenson getting more involved, like a tight end. It is the best friend for a young quarterback. And Hawk played some of his best football last night against the Dallas Cowboys, which is a very good sign. I still don't think this changes the Vikings' plans for Hockenson this offseason. I still would fully expect him to either get cut or traded this offseason, just be due to his cap hit number. But still, number 87 showed up, so I do want to give him his flowers. And then I will give flowers to this guy right here, Kevin O'Connell. He has adjusted. Now, 3 weeks ago, I was saying the Vikings should fire Kevin O'Connell, and I will walk back that take. I will flip-flop on that. I know you guys love giving me a hard time for flip-flopping on my takes, but that is just the reality of covering an NFL team throughout the entire season. I mean, this guy's stock, it was at an all-time high before the year. It completely plummeted during the season. Now it's starting to creep back up because you know what I loved yesterday? I absolutely love this. You may be saying, Patrick, the Vikings only ran for 77 yards yesterday. It was only 2.8 yards per carry. Why would you love that? Because of this. 28 carries. J.J. McCarthy only threw the ball 24 times. This guy, he stayed committed to the run even when it wasn't working. Even when the Vikings were down 23-17, he stayed committed to the run. I love this. Like, I love seeing the stat graphic where it's like, they couldn't run the ball whatsoever. But did Kevin O'Connell bail? Did he put his young quarterback in harm's way, asking him to throw the ball 35, 40 times in that game? Absolutely not. He trusted his run game. He trusted his support of his young quarterback. And even though they weren't productive when running the ball, that top stat right there, 28 carries, I love to see it. And I do think this has been a great response by Kevin O'Connell since the Seahawks game. because we were talking about KOC being on hot seat, potentially getting fired after that game, and for right reason. He was absolutely horrible. Like, that game plan he had going into Seattle was absolutely horrific. He did not put Max Brosmer in an advantageous spot whatsoever, but he started to add some quick game. He started to stay more committed to the run. So this guy, I think he is a genius. I think he's an offensive genius, and he is adjusted. So shout out to KOC. I'll walk back my take because I was also, when I was saying the Vikings should potentially let him go, a big reason for that because I just thought this guy was stubborn and he wasn't going to change. But we're starting to see him change. And it's just, everybody's learning in life every single day, every single week. And this guy, he's going through a tough time being a head coach, but we're seeing him kind of still rally the troops. And I've just loved the way the Vikings have answered since that Seahawks game. Now, last week we'll talk about Justin Jefferson. The struggles continue. And I think it struggles on two fronts. I think clearly J.J. McCarthy, whenever he targets Justin Jefferson, it doesn't go well. I mean, this was absolutely jarring. J.J. McCarthy was 13 of 16 for 228 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he had a perfect passer rating when he was targeting everybody but Justin Jefferson. But when he targets Jefferson, he was 2 of 8 for 22 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Jefferson also had a bad drop. He's had a couple of bad drops this year, which are very uncharacteristic. Now, I think when I'm talking about Jefferson, I could say he is having a down year, but I don't think like this dip we're seeing with Jefferson is going to stay on a dip. I think he could eventually kind of get back to who he was, like back in that 2022 season where even Jefferson's talked about this, and he wants to get back to being that guy, and he eventually will. And, McCarthy, I don't know what it is. Whenever he's targeting Jefferson and Addison, normally it doesn't go well. Now, I wonder if this is also the young quarterback's mind where he's like, man, I got Justin Jefferson out there. I got Jordan Addison out there. Let me go get these guys the ball, even though it's a little bit of him force-feeding the ball to Justin Jefferson. But this is when he was targeting Jefferson, 30-61, Addison, 15-32. Clearly his 2 favorite targets this year have been Nailor and Hock. Now, I think what is so impressive about this, Nailor normally runs deep routes. Like, we never see Nailor on a slant or a hitch. It's either like deep crosses, deep outs, or just streak routes. 61% on those. That's awesome stuff. And then Hock, I think that's just at 70% since he's the underneath guy in the Vikings offense. But this has to get better, and I know it will get better. Like, the version and the connection we're seeing from J.J. to J.J. right now, it will improve. I have no doubt in my mind that it won't improve. Like, this is something that they're going to work on over and over again this offseason, and they just got to get on the same page. Like, clearly it's also something a little mental with these two where, even that one touchdown Jefferson dropped, like Kevin O'Connell was first and goal. He comes out in the gun, and clearly it's a play to get Jefferson open. They got him open. J.J. finally delivered a good throw, and Jefferson just dropped it. So I'm not really too concerned about it, but I will give Jefferson all types of credit in the world. This guy just wants to win football games. Through and through, that's all he cares about. And he has done a great job of kind of, I don't want to say keeping it together, but kind of keeping his emotions intact where it's like he understands. Like, yeah, the Vikings are eliminated from the playoffs. It is what it is, but I want to show Jefferson some love. Type those 18s down below, and we'll get on out of here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, let's go Vikes. What's going on, Kunaga? Joe coming in with a $10 super chat saying, do you think Ty Felton is worth the 102nd draft pick so far? I'll go more in depth on this on our mailbag here shortly. I'm going to say no. You necessarily just took a gunner and a return man at that pick. But again, that can change. We'll see. I mean, again, if the Vikings do end up letting Nailor walk this offseason, Ty Felton steps up, and he's a hell of a wide receiver 3. Like, I could very well see him having a productive year here. But we'll see what happens. Appreciate you, Joe, for coming in. Shout out to you. Felton shouldn't be on the roster. And you still got to let him develop. I mean, we'll see on Felton, everybody. Like, it's a rookie year. He hasn't had a chance yet. I'll say when they've gotten him the ball last week, he looked good. Showed some juice. But Rob Jigga Saying Seeps, Madden game versus Marsh again before the game on Sunday. Oh, man. Marsh and I were talking about doing a joint preview if it was worth it. Man, Rob, how about this? I don't know if you super chat on Giants. How about next time Marsh goes live on the Giants show? I don't know if it's today or tomorrow. How about you send in a super chat saying, "Hey, let's run back that Madden game." Maybe Marsh and I could do that. That could be a lot of fun. That was a blast last year. That was before a week 1 game. That was a whole lot of fun. Big O saying I'm late pass. What did I miss? Jonathan Greenard's out for the year. That's unfortunate. Breaking news. That we'll talk about throughout the week. But Kitus saying, is Ben Johnson better than Kevin O'Connell? Kitus, I would love to answer that. You just want to use hashtag Vikings for me? I think it's a good question. I think I would rather have I think they're about even in terms of like where they would be ranked. I would just prefer a guy like Ben Johnson who's going to stay more committed to the run than KOC. But again, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to the game this week. That's awesome, Liam. That's going to be a ton of fun. In New York, taking on the Giants. I'm excited about that. But if you guys could, though, we need more questions. So if you could super chat or use hashtag Vikings to get up on the show, I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate you, Kitus. This game reminded me why I like watching the Vikings. I think all of us fans needed that. I was very happy for the Vikings fan base last night just because it was, dire times. And even that win against the Commanders, it was just like, man, you're at home. The Commanders are damn near tanking at this point. But like, hey, man, you went into Dallas, beat a team that was trying to compete for the playoffs. And, Dallas, even though their defense is a joke, like, that's one of the best offenses in the National Football League. And, you beat them on the road. So we'll give credit to the Vikings yesterday. That was a big time win. Big time win. Do you think that Kevin O'Connell will stay to what he's doing right now and stay with J.J. McCarthy? Good question, Reed. We'll include that. Big O saying, if KOC does really good in the last few weeks, do you keep him or promote Flo? That's another good question. Vane Crypto coming in. Even if Dallas didn't have a great defense, he did better than Dak Prescott in terms of stats. No, he did. I mean, obviously you got to think about, like, everything in life has context to it. Like, how about this, everybody? Imagine if J.J. McCarthy had to go against Flores on that defense. Probably wouldn't look as good as J.J. going against the Dallas defense, but we'll see. Sharon Moore for the next Vikings head coach. I think we're all right, Kitus. I think we're all right. But Rob Jigga, what's going on, man? We'll get to that here in a second. What if you promoted Flo and put KO as an offensive coordinator? That would create so much dysfunction in the organization. I can promise you that. That would be unbelievable. Do you think Fabian Moro is good? He had a pretty solid game yesterday, actually. Can you be our head coach? You guys don't want that. We would lose a lot of games. We would lose a lot of football games if I was. But Rob, what's going on, man? If everybody could, give me a skull Rob down below. Giants fan showing love on today's show. Saying, so, guess no more Burrow talk to the Vikings, huh? A rookie quarterback playing better. And thank you for beating Dallas. Rob, the Burrow talk will not end. JJ is going to have to show more for me to legitimately say, like, oh, no, you're good, Rob. For me to legitimately say that, like, the Vikings shouldn't go out there and try to acquire Joe Burrow. Like, it's Joe Burrow. This guy's been to a Super Bowl. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he is healthy. JJ would have to, he would have to show me a whole lot for the Vikings to not even consider making a call to Cincinnati. Because if he is available for whatever reason, I love the number 9 we got. JJ's a great dude, but the number 9 in Cincinnati is just a different breed. JJ's going to have to show a whole lot here. But, we'll still talk about the Joe Burrow stuff if it's got any legs during the offseason. But I think for right now, we're going to put the Burrow talk to the Vikings to bed just for a little bit and focus on our J.J. McCarthy here. But we do have a mailbag coming up. Hashtag Vikings down below. Yellow, I appreciate you. Ryan Manley saying bring in Burrow. Yeah, I'm still with you on that. Now, again, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We got our company Slack just blowing up right now, Dylan. W- We're missing all the inside jokes right now. Trade Jefferson, draft Denzel, Boston. Listen, I will stay in this camp. That's the one take I will never even consider is the Vikings trading Justin Jefferson. It's not going to happen. J.J. McCarthy looks like Josh Allen last night. Somewhat. He's got that big-time arm like Allen has. You know, it was so funny. When people were talking about J.J. McCarthy coming out of college and were talking about the Vikings this offseason, the one most ludicrous take out there was, J.J. McCarthy's got a limited arm. I walk into the Chat Sports office today. I have like 3 people come up to me, and they're like, JJ's got a pretty good arm on him. And I'm like, we have been trying to tell you guys this for a year and a half now. I was like, how do you watch his tape in Michigan and don't think he's got a big arm? Now, when it comes to layering the football, those touch throws, like that's where J.J. McCarthy's got to get a whole lot better. But like people that like treat J.J. McCarthy like he was like a 3rd-round prospect that the Vikings overdrafted because they needed a quarterback. Like, no, that arm talent you saw last night, that's why Kevin O'Connell took a risk on him. I don't know. I've always been curious. Are you in an office or like a booth? So we're in like a full office, and then we have like a bunch of different rooms with studio right now. Like right now, me and producer Dylan are in our studio. But yeah, appreciate the question though, Vikings follower. Yeah, 2 evil, 2 hope. That's also the other thing of trading Jefferson. Everybody's just like, oh, let's trade Jefferson for 2 first. The dead cap number's brutal. Like it's also, and I hate when people compare this to the Sauce Gardner contract. The Jets set up that Sauce Gardner contract for the potential to trade him. The Vikings set up the Jefferson contract where they are hoping that they can just keep on extending them, keep on pushing that money back. 2 completely different situations. Like the Vikings, like how Sauce went for 2 first, like the Colts took on that whole contract, and the Jets got a player back. The Vikings would need 3 first-round picks, or 2 first-round picks and 2 seconds for Jefferson. So you're just chilling with the green screen behind you? I am. I got a green screen right here, hitting the wall. You guys can kind of see that. Did we win over producer Dylan to the good side? I don't know. I think it's going to take a little more than that. I don't know. Are we the good side? Is that what we're saying, being a Vikings fan? Do we want to put Dylan through that? I don't know. I mean, Dylan's already used to it being a Cowboys fan, so I think the turmoil, wouldn't be too bad. Maybe we are the bad side. Like, again, let me ask you this. If your grandma was trying to get in the football and maybe she had a bad heart, would you tell her to be a Minnesota Vikings fan? I'm serious. Answer that question. If your grandmother wanted to start following NFL football and she wanted to be a diehard fan of a team and she had a bad heart, would you have her be a Vikings fan? Absolutely not. The grandmother would be dead after a couple of weeks. Hell no, Nevada Maverick. Hell no. Did you see the Jets fired the DC? Yeah, we did see that. We covered that earlier today. Daddy Blunt, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I want her to be happy. Send her to the Patriots. Yeah. What's your prediction for the Giants game? We gave them belt or just a normal win if it's a win? I don't know. I could see the Vikings losing to the Giants. I don't think like the Vikings are in any spot where it's like, oh, you're on the road, like it's just a guaranteed win. Like they could very well lose that game. I believe Hitman would be a Hall of Famer. What do you think? I think he will too. Good question though. If my grandma rooted for another team, I would disown. You would disown your own grandmother? Giants are desperate to lose. Giants are trying to lose games, so the Vikings should be good. Yeah, average Vikings loss. It would be such a Vikings loss to lose to the Giants. Yeah, we'll see, though. All right, I do want to dive into this mailbag. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in today. If you guys have a question while we're filming this, just send it a super chat. We'll make sure to get that up on screen, or just use hashtag Vikings and test your luck of the draw there. But let's dive into this mailbag right now. It is mailbag time on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and I appreciate all of you guys taking time out of your day to tune in to the channel. So I love doing these mailbags. We go live every Monday and every Thursday here on the channel, and we take questions from our viewers. And it's, again, my favorite piece of content I film because it's me and you guys chopping it up about our favorite football team. And the first question coming in here, Skull to the Bull, fantastic name, saying, can you redraft the 2024 quarterback draft class? So that's a J.J. McCarthy class with Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and the whole crew. It's a good question. If I had to redraft it, I think Drake May goes number 1. I think that's undisputed. I think everybody watching right now would take Drake May number 1. I think I would go Caleb Williams number 2 right now, just because I trust Caleb Williams staying healthier than Jaden Daniels, and even Jaden Daniels like this year, he hasn't been too good when he's played. So I think those two are the locks at 1 and 2. I think I would go Bo Nix at 3. Maybe I would lean Jaden Daniels at 3. No, I would still go Jaden Daniels 3. I would go Bo Nix 4. But I would go J.J. McCarthy over Michael Penix. I mean, Michael Penix, the injuries he's had to his knees are pretty disappointing right now. Now, I'd love to put J.J. higher, but he just hasn't done enough. Now, I will say, like J.J. this year, he's 4-4. First year starting, he's got wins on the road against the Bears, the Lions, and the Cowboys. Like, he's got a lot of he's got some stuff to go off of. But again, JJ's also only played 8 games. So if I had to redraft it like right now as we're filming, again, this can change. Like JJ could jump up to number 2. I just don't know if anybody in this draft class is going to touch Drake May. But I would go Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix. That's how I would do it. Joe coming in saying, do you think Ty Felton is worth the 102nd pick so far? As we're filming this December 15th, I would say no. But again, that can change, Joe. I think, especially if the Vikings do let Jalen Nailor walk this offseason, which is very much on the table, because I think Nailor is going to get around $12 to $15 million per year in free agency. Then maybe Ty Felton steps up as that wide receiver 3. We see him playing some good football. Then he could have had that draft pick worth it. Now, clearly, I think this Vikings front office was very, very high on Ty Felton. Like, receiver was not a position of need whatsoever in the draft. And with the Vikings having such limited draft capital, they had to have really, really loved this guy. So I think he'll end up working out. It's also this draft pick. It even adds to the conversation. Are you going to keep Addison? Are you going to trade Addison? Are you going to keep Nailor? Or are you going to let him walk? Like, Ty Felton will have a play in that. But if also they view Ty Felton and they just admit, like, hey, we whiffed on this pick, it was a bad pick, then it might not end up mattering. But right now, was it worth it? I would say no. Rob Jigga, what's going on? Saying, so guess no more Burrow talk to the Vikings, huh? That rookie QB playing better, and thank you for beating Dallas. Yeah, no problem, Rob. I mean, listen, I'm not going to talk about the Burrow stuff until the offseason unless we get another report mid-season about Burrow potentially being on the table. And what I will say, J.J. McCarthy would have to do a whole lot. I don't even know if there's anything he can do during the final 3 games of the season to make me move off, the Vikings going out there and getting Burrow. Because let's just say J.J. goes out there and he has 300 yards. Or how about this? Let's just say J.J. replicates his game against the Dallas Cowboys, against the Giants, Lions, and Packers. And the Vikings go 3-0. They end 9-8. That means J.J. would have a 7-4 record this season. Like, would that be enough for me to be like, you know what? Let's not go all in for Joe Burrow. Maybe that's how I'll feel. But again, it's just going to come down to like the tape out there. Like, again, everybody loves getting on anybody who makes content. Now, like, I see it with myself. I see it with other Vikings content creators. I see it with other people who cover sports teams. People saying, oh, you're flip-flopping your take. Or you said you wanted this guy. You said you then want to give this guy. Like, we get new data every week in the NFL. And that's why it's so awesome, because your takes can change just like that. But as of right now, good on the Burrow talks. We'll reevaluate that this offseason. Titus, would you rather have Ben Johnson or Kevin O'Connell? I hate this question because I don't think you guys are going to like my answer to this question. I think I would go Ben Johnson. Now, I will say I think both these guys are fantastic head coaches, fantastic offensive minds, but they're just different. They're different flavors of ice cream. Like Ben Johnson, he's that ground and pound. I want to run the football. I want to get downhill type of head coach, and I would prefer a head coach like that compared to Kevin O'Connell, where, yes, his system does work. We have seen KOC's system. You can win a lot of games in the NFL of just pushing the ball downfield over and over again. I would just rather have the run-first guy. That's just me. Now, I will say, like, I think they're on the same exact level. Like, I'm not saying Ben Johnson's a better head coach than Kevin O'Connell. I would just rather have his style of offense, the ground and pound, compared to the air raid Kevin O'Connell style of offense. Vikings follower. I hate the narrative of it's the Cowboys D. Of course J.J. will do good. Because when he played the rougher defenses, it was never, he's a rookie playing a hard defense. It was just J.J. sucks. I absolutely fucking love this Vikings follower. Yeah. Like, the one good thing about this old Vikings follower is I like that people are moving the goalpost. You know your young quarterback's doing something right where people are moving the goalposts on how they're evaluating them. Because even like here at the Chat Sports 2, it's like, oh, JJ looked good last night, but then it was followed up with it was only the Cowboys. And even I'm saying it. Like, it was only the Cowboys. It was only the Commanders. But how about it only be the Giants? Then how about we go beat the Lions on Christmas? Then how about we go beat the Packers? Then what are they going to say? Like, we're just checking boxes every single week. We're just stacking games over and over again. You can only play these on your schedule. And that's also why, like, with J.J. McCarthy, it's like, I don't think people give enough credit to of, like, the pressure this kid was under this year. Where the Vikings did win 14 games. They did have Super Bowl aspirations. He did have a brutal high ankle sprain. He did tear his meniscus. Like, everything that he kind of had adding pressure and adding weight to his shoulders, like, it wasn't like a situation where, like, take Cam Ward with the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward's been horrible this year. If you said Cam Ward was terrible, people would look at you like, man, what are you talking about? Like, he's got nothing to work with. Like, are you talking bad about Cam Ward? Or if you say, like, oh, I think Tyler Shuck or one of these other guys is, like, you know, playing bad football, then I think Shuck's been all like Shuck's, you know, the tape looks great for him. But point being here is, like, you can kind of hide in New Orleans. You can kind of hide in Tennessee on these franchises that just aren't that good and aren't, like, in major cities. Like, they're just playing irrelevant football at the end of the day. Like, at least JJ, like, still against the Cowboys, like, that's a primetime stage. That's going against a team who's trying to make the playoffs. Like, there is still some meaningful football. And also, JJ, like, he's playing for his job. Like, there's no guarantee JJ's QB1 next year. I promise you, Tyler Shuck, Cam Ward, all these other young quarterbacks, like, they are no doubt QB1 next season, no matter what they do. But when you're the Minnesota Vikings and you've been so consistent over the last couple of years, like, you got to show up. You're playing for your job, or else, you know, they would just let you go. So I'll ask you guys this. What do you guys think about J.J. McCarthy? What say you on this one? As it stands right now, do you think J.J. McCarthy is the franchise quarterback? I'm going to know your thoughts down below. Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no down below in the comment section. I'm going to be saying yes to this. I think he is. That can change. Again, you get new data. Opinions and takes can change. But right now, I'm going to give it a hell yeah for J.J. McCarthy. Now, we'll dive into more questions here in a second, but today's episode is brought to you guys by Prize Picks, and it is the holiday season and the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball and football matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And when you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's only one place where it feels good to be right, and that is Prize Picks. And if you guys download the Prize Picks app today, we'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Just make sure you guys use promo code CLNS. And Prize Picks, it's super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you guys get your picks right, you could cash in. So get in on the action. Prize Picks is now available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. And Prize Picks is a new feature called Early Payout. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. So download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. As promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, next question coming in from Mike Nintendo Master saying, do the Vikings have money to sign Nailor to a long-term deal? If you just look at the Vikings cap situation, you would probably say no to this, but there's always workarounds. Like, you can cut a guy like Javon Hargrave, you can cut a guy like Jonathan Allen, you can, extend Jefferson again, for example, and just backload his deal even a couple more years. Same thing can be said about Christian Darrisaw. Maybe you traded Jonathan Greenard. Maybe you even, I don't know, there are workarounds for this. But, like, it's unlikely that the Vikings have the money to sign Jalen Nailor, so I think he'll be a very enticing free agent target for a lot of NFL teams. But, on paper, probably not, but there are workarounds to get more money. Big O, if KOC just really good in the last few games or last few weeks. Do you keep him or promote Flo? Listen, what I would do, now I will say Viking side of things, there's no chance Kevin O'Connell gets fired. That's a 0.000% chance of happening. I don't know if KOC does what he did over the last 2 weeks. Like, yeah, obviously I would keep him. And also, a big reason why I wanted the Vikings at the time to fire Kevin O'Connell and promote Flores was like, I'm starting to get the sense that Flores won't be the defensive coordinator here too much longer. Like, if you just watch the Vikings defense, it's different than anybody in the league. Like, when you're playing the Minnesota Vikings, they're doing stuff that no other team's doing. Like, teams will try to replicate it. Teams will take a couple of things here and there. But, like, take Flores last night, or when you're seeing this 2 nights ago against the Cowboys, 7, 8 guys lined up on the line of scrimmage every single play. Literally, every single play. I mean, it felt like 80% of the plays, that was the look they were giving them. Now, other teams will do that here and there, but they won't do it as much as Flores does it. Like, Flores does such a good job of sending heavy pressure without giving the quarterback like an easy outlet. Like, these guys, these corners are pressed up. They're like, hey, if you're going to beat us on this play, you got to go make a play, and you either got to attack the middle of the field or you just got to go off your back foot and throw a ball up in there, and hopefully your receiver runs under it. So, like, Flores just, I mean, it's also just mind games with the quarterback because you're just seeing the same thing over and over again, and they're doing different things. Like, it is just so tough for these quarterbacks to decipher what Flores is trying to do. But, yeah, if KOC does good the last few weeks, you keep him, obviously, and you try your hardest to keep Brian Flores on the staff. Yellow 5791 is going on saying, do you think Justin Jefferson is still chilling on the Vikings, or do you think he's going to get traded still? I don't think there's a chance Jefferson gets traded. I think that's probably the biggest waste of energy that Vikings fans kind of spend their time on, is saying like, oh, could they trade Jefferson? Could you get a couple first-round picks? Number one, Vikings will never do it. That's the face of your franchise. And number two, it's fucking stupid. Like, you're not going to trade Justin Jefferson. Like, he is one of the best players in the National Football League. You don't trade one of those guys when you're trying to win games. Now, you can make the argument, well, the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, and then they won back-to-back Super Bowls. We don't have Patrick Mahomes. We don't have Andy Reid. We are taking the Kyle Shanahan Niners-esque or the Nick Sirianni Eagles-esque route where you're getting a stacked roster with a quarterback who hopefully J.J. develops to be a top 12 guy eventually, and then you go on that playoff run. Now, when you have like a Josh Allen or, a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, like, yeah, you can get away with, trading a superstar wide receiver. I just think it would be stupid. I don't think like those draft picks you would get. Like, those draft picks also you would get if you still got the same GM. Quasi is like, is he going to hit on those draft picks? Because if you trade Jefferson, you're just going to be drafting another wide receiver, hopefully that he becomes that guy. And the Vikings just aren't in that spot right now. So I think it's pretty stupid. Wes saying, I believe Hitman will be an HOFer. What do you think? I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame 100%. I mean, did he drop his 39th career interception against the Cowboys? I'm trying to think. I think he's closing in here on 40. Yeah, he's at 38. So he dropped his 39th against the Cowboys there. But I don't know. I mean, I still think Harrison Smith, like, if you think about, like, late 2010s, honestly, I mean, most of the 2010s, like, Harry was one of the better players in the NFL. So, yeah, I think he'll be a Hall of Famer. But again, the NFL Hall of Fame is different than the NBA Hall of Fame. It's a lot harder to get into, but I think he deserves it. I think he'll get that jacket 5 years after he retires. I don't know if it'd be first ballot, actually. Probably, I don't know, second ballot, third ballot, but I think he'll eventually get there. But we do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in to today's show. If you guys made it to the end, hit me with those skulls down below, and we'll get on out of here. Let's go Vikes. Kirby, what is the breaking news? Hashtag clickbait. Jonathan Greenard is out for the year, my friend. Thoughts on Phillip Rivers? It was awesome. It was really, really cool. I mean, that was a quarterback when I started watching the game of football. Like, he was one of the premier players in the league. So watching him still sling it at the ripe age of 44 years old was definitely damn cool. So shout out to P. Riv for getting it done. Connor Vikings in the building. Tom and the Buckeye. 2 Coke cans saying trade Jonathan Greenard and start Turner, in my opinion. Also, we're really worried about the draft picks. I mean, Quezzy has been 3 for 5 on first rounders, maybe 4 for 5 with J.J. McCarthy. Only first-round bust was seen. Is that true? Seen for sure bust in his first draft class. And then he had the 24 draft with J.J. and Turner. Who is his? I'm just sleeping on this. So 2022 was the scene draft. I guess you were counting Donovan Jackson as a hit. Jordan Addison as a hit. Yeah, I guess he has hit on 4 or 5 first-round picks. If you are considering like Addison, I mean Addison's a hit. Dallas Turner, McCarthy already hits, and then same with Donovan Jackson. So yeah, I guess that's a good point. And also I will say, Jonathan Greenard trade might be more likely than people think. Who do you got in the Bills this year? I got Bills and Rams. See, I had Bills and Rams about 2 weeks ago, but now it feels like everybody's got Bills and Rams. I don't know. I think I'm going to stick with it. You guys want to hear about an egregious bet I made? Well, I was back home in a state where you're allowed to gamble in. I put $17 on a bet that's going to pay $9,000. It is Oregon to win the college football playoff, plus 800. It is the Thunder to win the NBA championship, and it is the exact result of Bills beating the Rams in the Super Bowl. So that was a bet I made. So hopefully that ends up working out. We could have some fun here on the show. Seahawks, Pats. Keanu Woods saying, you think the Chiefs dynasty is over? This version of the Chiefs dynasty. I mean, they could very well still have another dynasty. It could be like a Patriots thing where, you know, Brady didn't make a Super Bowl for like 10 straight, or didn't win a Super Bowl for 10 straight years, but then he had that resurgence back in the late early 2020s. So I could see that, you know, very well being the case. All righty, guys, but we are going to get on out of here. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Been a long couple of days for Dylan and I, so appreciate all of you guys supporting the show. Again, best fans in the world. And we'll get on out of here. Shout out to all the real ones, Big O, Vikings follower, Keanu Woods, Ryan Manley, all of you guys. Seriously, thank you guys so much for always supporting me and what I do here. But we'll get on out of here. As always, Skol Vikings.